What's up, guys? Mitch from Respect My Region back again, looking at some data from Headset. I know we were doing that yesterday, and some of the data that MJ Biz Daily had published from Headset on category leaders across Washington, California, and Colorado. But today we're looking at the top cannabis beverage brands in the U.S. for Q1 2021. Two things that jumped out at me when looking at this list immediately were the top two spots, Major and CANN. Major's coming in at 3.8 million in sales for Q1, and CANN coming in at 3.4 million. CANN is available only in California right now, I believe, and Major is in Washington and California, relatively new to the California market. But when we look at the positioning of these products, they are completely opposite ends of the spectrum, which, no surprise to me, I think is the cause for seeing them at the 1 and 2 spots. Positioning happens to be one of my favorite terms and just processes in the marketing realm. It's one of my favorite books by, I think, is it Jack Trout and Al Rise, Positioning? I believe so. Super, super good read. It's about 15 years old, maybe a little bit older. I'm dating myself right there. Great book, great concept that I'm just personally enthused by. But when we look at the position of these products, Major is a low-cost, high-dose product. They are simply going after those who want the most THC and want to spend the least amount of money. Super specific category, super specific messaging. Packaging doesn't in this category in that realm. Packaging doesn't matter. Not to say it doesn't have bad packaging, or it has bad packaging, but packaging doesn't necessarily matter. The branding doesn't matter. It's more rooted in price and value. High THC, low cost. That's the realm it's hitting in. It's clearly working. If you look at the not just the beverage, but the edible market, especially in a market like Washington that is very restrictive on the amount of THC that can go into a single product, with 100 milligrams being the highest available. That significantly cut off the medical market and the legacy consumers such as myself. I prefer a much higher THC product. The 10 milligram things out there, 10 milligram soda is just not for me. I'm gonna have to drink 5 or 6 of those to get to my preferred dosage, and I don't drink soda. That's kind of a lot. For a product, for a consumer like myself personally. So Major really fits that void in Washington of providing a great costing product that has a high dose of THC. CANN, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. The majority of CANN products are like 2.5 milligrams of THC, a little bit of CBD. I believe they have 5 milligram cans, and I'm not sure if they have 10 milligrams, but it's definitely going after a completely different demographic. Whereas the first one's going for, the value, high THC. CANN is much more like an everyday drink, something for the canna-curious, something for people out there that aren't as experienced with THC or don't want as much THC. Because there are times, I guess, even though I'm a much higher dose consumer, there are times where I guess a 2 to 5 milligram would be nice if I just want a little bit of the effects of cannabis, but not really to affect my motor skills or cognitive thinking or anything like that. But the packaging, the marketing on CANN is super beautiful. It's something that, like, my wife, who's not a consumer, would be interested in. It's something probably my mom would be interested in, but it's also something that I could see like at influencer parties or people passing around. I saw Ellen talking about it the other day, drinking it, and it was funny. She noted how many milligrams in THC was in it, and so that it was less scary than your traditional edible. I'm not sure if that was a paid marketing sponsorship or not, but the fact that she communicated the branding and the use and the value proposition in a low THC, that is beautifully executed media. Again, I'm not sure if that was manufactured or just organic. Regardless, a lot of the marketing coming out around CANN is rooted in that it is a beverage built upon the health and wellness that it has CBD in it. Tonic water is just a huge category for beverages in general, whether we're talking about just spindrifts and things like that, all the way up to White Claws in the alcohol market. Across the entire beverage spectrum, the sparkling water is a huge category. CANN is clearly capitalizing on that in the cannabis space. So again, these top 2 spots, completely different demographics and completely different positionings for their brand and their products, yet they own that and they only speak to that. And so it's no wonder they're at the number 1 and number 2 spot. Too often in cannabis there are products and brands that are trying to be too much for too many people. you just can't. CANN can't come out with, hey, we're the low dose everyday consumer, your mom friendly, canna-curious friendly, and we're also for the hardcore heady culture. You know, that's those are two demographics that don't necessarily mix, and there's a conflict of messaging. So having both of these companies have very clear messaging gives them a clear trajectory for their marketing goals, their sales goals, their pricing, everything that makes a brand and a product what it is. These guys really have it carved out. And so again, it's no surprise that we're seeing them at number one and number two. And for other brands, owners, and marketers out there in this space, positioning is something that you need to know for you, not only for your brand, but also for your product. It's kind of one of those first steps before you can get into pricing and really location of the demographic you want to reach or how you want to reach them. Another thing to note, this market is still super mature. Being the category leader of Q1 2021 is a good indicator of success over the course of this year, which is an instrumental year for the legalization of cannabis, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. In the grand scheme of things, new brands and products are going to continually come to the market and give these guys a run for their money. When it comes to major, that value product, high THC, low cost, that's going to be, I predict that's going to be a convoluted marketplace here in the next 3 to 5 years. It's not going to take a lot to come in. If you're coming in with a value proposition to being a value of pricing, that's going to be a very competitive space that a lot of people can enter. You're going to have to really carve out a nice marketing niche to really hold that category. Whereas CANN, if they continue on the trajectory they're on for the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to secure a position that's going to be very, very, very difficult and expensive to penetrate. Just the level of branding and marketing that they bring to this space, along with just the media rollout and the marketing rollout in general they've had has been beautiful, instrumental to their success clearly. But coming in at that level, it's going to take an effort that exceeds that level in spend and awareness to overtake that spot. Again, if they continue on this trajectory for the next 3 to 5 years, a lot of different things can happen in this world, and the last 2 years can show us that a lot of things outside of our control can affect how things go. These were just the top 2 things that stuck out with me. I have opinions on these other products, but they don't necessarily seem worth mentioning, except for Dogtown Pioneers in Washington, the Ray's Lemonade. I'm not a big sweet beverage, juice, soda type of person, but just a personal consumer preference. Very, very big fan of just their regular Ray's Lemonade, and the Tropical Kush sounds like something that I would not ever be interested in usually, but that is a really great beverage. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Really, really would encourage and welcome any comments, thoughts, hate, criticism, any of that stuff in the comments below, and we'll be back at you guys soon.